In today's lesson, we're going to be learning 6 essential major pentatonic licks. I call them essential because once you've learnt these 6 licks, you're going to be able to improvise and write guitar solos very effectively using the ideas that are presented within these licks. So yeah, you're almost going to be expanding your vocabulary on the guitar and the different ideas that you throw in when you're playing some lead guitar. But remember, this is all in the major key. These licks happen to be in the key of D major, but don't forget, you can shift these up and down the neck to change the key. But anyway, so don't forget, subscribe to the channel because I've got lots more videos like this. Like the video because that always helps, and definitely leave a comment. Let me know anything you'd like to learn in the future. But anyway, let's start off by learning the scales that all these licks come from. Before we learn the licks, why don't we look at the scale that these are all taken from. It's called the D major pentatonic scale, and I'm actually going to show you how to play it in 2 different positions, because the first 3 licks use this position here. I'm going to start on my 4th finger on the D note, which is on the 10th fret of the low E string. So 4th finger, 10th fret, low E. Then on the A string, I'm going to play 7 and 9 with my 1st and 3rd fingers. Same on the next string, D, 7, 9, then again 7, 9 on the G string, and then on the top 2 strings it's going to be 7, 10, 7, 10 with your 1st and 4th fingers. So let me run through that again. I'm going to start on the 10th fret of the low E string, and it's going to go 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. And the first 3 licks are based around that shape. So now I want to show you this second position of this D major pentatonic that we're going to be looking at today. And I do want to point out these are exactly the same scales, okay? But they're played in slightly different positions on the neck, but they use exactly the same notes. They're both D major pentatonic. But licks 4 and 5, well 4, 5 and 6 use this scale shape. But 6 actually uses a mixture of both. But anyway, so we're going to start on that 10th fret again of the low E string, this time with your 2nd finger. But then we're going to go with your 4th finger on fret 12 of the E string. So it starts off with 10, 12. Then it's going to be 9, 12 with your 1st and 4th fingers on the A string. Same thing on the D string, 9, 12. Then on the G, it's going to be 9 to 11. Okay. Then on the B string, it's actually 10, 12 with your 2nd and 4th fingers, or your 1st and 3rd, whatever you want there. And then on the top string, it's going to be 10, 12 again. Okay. So let's go through that again. It's going to be 10, 12, 9, 12, 9, 12, 9, 11, 10, 12, 10, 12. Okay, and yeah, so it's going to be, that is the second position that we're looking at here of the major pentatonic scale. Lick 1 is going to start off with a hammer-on from 7 to 9 on the A string. So I'm going to play the 7th fret of the A string with my 1st finger. And then I'm going to hammer my 3rd finger down onto fret 9 without picking again. So you get this. Alright, then after that, I'm going to simply do exactly the same thing on the D string. So 7 with my 1st finger, but hammering on to 9 with my 3rd. So we got this. Then we're going to play the 7th fret of the G string. Okay, but then straight after that, you're going to play 9 and 7, okay, on the G string. Okay, so let's do that whole bar. It's going to sound like this. Okay, one more time, and then we'll go on to the next bar. Alright, now the next bar is going to start with a slide up to the 11th fret of the G string. So I would just go from fret 9, and we're going to pick fret 9, but we're going to slide the finger straight up to 11. Alright, then your second finger is going to play fret 10 on the B string. So you've got this. Okay, then straight after that, I'm going to go back to that 11 on the G. I'm going to pick it, but as soon as I do, I'm sliding down to the back to the 9th fret of the G. So we got this. And then we simply resolve it by going back to the 7th fret of the G string. So the whole second bar is this. And then the whole lick, a little slower. For fret 2, we're actually going to start off by barring with your first finger over the D and G, the middle 2 strings, on fret 7. So you can see I'm actually flattening my first finger out, so I'm holding both of these down at the same time. This is just going to help it flow better. You don't have to do this, but this is how I do it. Anyway, so it actually starts off with that bar on, but we do a hammer on from 7 to 9 on the D string. And then straight after that, we play an upstroke on that 7th fret of the G. So it goes like this. And I'm just going to do that twice in a row. So it's this. That's a very common idea with major licks. But then straight after I've done that, I'm going to do a pull off from 9 to 7. Again, you don't have to have the finger barred for that if you don't want, but I tend to do that. So we've got this pull off at the end of the bar, pulling that finger downwards off the string. So it's this. This is the whole first bar. But then we're going to do a string bend on fret 9 of the G string. Remember, always if you're bending with your third finger, you should also have your second finger on the string as well to support it. Let's bend that string up. We're aiming for fret 11, okay, because it's a full tone bend, which means that you have to bend up 2 semitones or 2 frets. So we got this. But as soon as we hit that note, we're going to bring it back down to the 9, and then to the 7 of the G string. So that whole second bar is simply just going to be this. And I do want you to notice that when I do the bend, it's not one of those bends that comes back down. You've got to kind of go like this, touch the string, and then play that released note, okay? If you let it bend back down, it doesn't sound bad, but for this lick, it sounds better if you play it like that, okay? So anyway, here's the whole lick put together. For lick 3, we're going to start with a pull off from 10 to 7 on the high E string. All right, so I tend to want to do this with my 4th finger. You can do this with your 3rd finger if you want, but I use my 4th, my pinky finger. And I'm going to pick the 10 and then pull that finger downwards onto the 7, again, of the high E string. As soon as I've done that, I'm going to play 10 on the B string. and then I'm going to come back to the 7 on the high E string. So we've got this. Alright, but then after that it does a similar thing, starting this time on the 10th fret of the B string, and we do a pull off from 10 to 7 here, and it's really similar because we're doing a pull off to the 7, but then we're going to 9 on the G string, but then we're coming back to that 7 again of the B string, so we've got this. So this whole first bar is this. Okay, but as soon as you've done that, you then play a 9 on the G string. You hold that, but then you're going to play a hammer on from 7 to 9 on the D string. And then you're going to play the 7th fret of the G to finish the lick. So that whole second bar is just this. And then if we put the whole lick together, lick 4 is going to start with a slide from 9 up to 11 on the G string. Okay, because it tends to be, if on music, if it tells you to slide up to a note, but it doesn't tell you where to go from, I would tend to go at least 2 frets back. So from 9, slide up to the 11 on the G, but then on the B string, we're going to play 10, 12, so it's going to be this. And then we're going to play the 10th fret of the high E string. Okay, so far we got this. But once we played that, we're actually going to do a quick pull off from 12 to 10 on the high E string. And then we're going to go straight down to the 12 on the B string, like that. So the end of that bar is this. Quite quick. So it's going to do this in total, the first bar. As soon as you've done that though, we need to bend the 12th fret of the high E string, similar to the bend we did before, because we're going to push it up a tone, but then we're going to cut the sound off as soon as we reach that note. And then you play the 12 when it's not bent, so it's going to go like this. And as soon as we've done that, we're then going to play the 10th fret of the high E string, down to the 12th fret of the B string, back to the 10th fret of the high E. So that whole second bar is this. And how about I put the whole lick together? Lick 5 is going to include a lot of hammering on and pulling off. We're going to start by doing a hammer on from 9 to 11 on the G string with our first and third fingers. But then we're going to move up a fret and up a string, so we're on to the 10th fret of the B string, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hammer from 10 to 12. So we got this so far. And then straight after that, we're going to play the 10th fret of the high E string, and we're actually going to do a hammer on and a pull off. Some people call this a flick, where we do this. So we're picking once, but 3 notes are coming through. So we got this. And then we're going to just go down to the 12th fret of the B string after that. So why don't I put all of that together so far? Alright, but then we got yet another hammer on from 10 to 12 on the B string. And then another hammer on from 10 to 12 on the high E string. And then we're resolving back to the 10th fret of the high E. So that whole second bar is simply this. And now why don't I put it all together? Again, I'll play it a little slower than usual. And lick 6 actually has a very similar idea to lick 2. We're going to start by barring the top 2 strings this time on the 10th fret. So we've got those 2 notes held down there. We're going to do a hammer on from 10 to 12 on the B string. And then we're going to do the upstroke on the high E string on that 10. And it does it twice like this. Then you're going to do a pull off from 12 to 10 on the B string. So that covers the whole first bar. I'll do that again. But then after that, we've got a slide from 11 down to 9 on the G string. Now this is one of those ones where you actually want to hear both of those notes come through. It's quite quick, but you want to hear the 11 and then you slide down to 9. And as soon as you're down to that 9 with your 3rd finger, you're going to play the fret 7 of the G string with your 1st finger, fret 9 of the D with your 3rd finger, and then back to fret 7 on the G with the 1st finger. So the whole second bar is going to be this. And now I'm going to put it all together.